That'd be a little riff.
Do 90s.
I'm annoyed. I actually can't
No,
see.
you have to do, Harry. Load up on
Right.
90s.
And I don't have a 90s.
Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Welcome everyone to the second episode of is it Ethan and his Music Mates or just Music Mates? I'm still not too sure.
Music Mates 1991.
Alright, Music Mates 1991. Yeah, like I said, second episode, and we have two albums for you this podcast. The first one is the second effort by Nirvana after their first album Bleach, which came out in 1989, and before their final studio album In Utero, which came out in 1993. It's Nevermind. The album was released on the 24th of September, and the band consists of Kurt Cobain on vocals and guitar, Chris Novoselic on bass, and Dave Grohl on drums, and they all originate from a very specific corner of the US in Washington State, a small little town called Aberdeen. Later on in their career, Pat Smear joined, becoming their second guitarist, and he kind of joined before In Utero began. And In Utero, they've got a lot more double guitar work in that album, and you can definitely tell that there's a new member. Before Dave Grohl joined, there were a series of previous members. The one who recorded Bleach was a man called Chad Channing, and he left the band because he felt like he didn't have enough creative control before Grohl became a concrete member of the band. I think that Nevermind is undoubtedly the most important album of the decade. I think it had a huge part in shaping the sound of the decade, and it provided a basis for a lot of underground bands to make their name at the time. Nirvana began in 1988 and ended in 1994, closely after their iconic MTV Unplugged performance, when Cobain committed suicide, sadly enough, disbanding the band forever.
I guess you could
On
call
the
him the man
performance.
who sold the world.
Yeah, I guess so. What?
Shame. What happened to him?
I don't know. I guess he just took drugs, fucked up his life a little bit.
How did he kill himself?
Shot with a shotgun.
I thought he didn't have a gun.
Very good. Yeah. Nice, yeah. I guess really quickly I can talk to you about the track listing. So the first song on the album is easily the most iconic of the whole album. It's probably the most famous band from the whole of the decade. It Smells Like Teen Spirit. After that we have In Bloom, Come As You Are, the third track, which is Harry's favourite, which we'll come on to in a minute. We have Breed, which is Tony's favourite, followed closely by Johnny's favourite, Lithium, which are actually all very close together. I didn't even pick up
All
on
at
that
the start
time.
of the album.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
albums
yeah.
have a tendency of starting good and then going bad.
I think every
No,
album's going to do that.
It's not about. I don't think it's about going bad. I think it's about the fact that you've listened to half an album, and towards the end, it's sort of they run out of ideas so much, but they don't really know how to create new stuff, so they do
And
start
start
to blend
playing
into one.
cricket.
Start playing cricket. Yeah, we'll come on to that, Johnny. We'll come on to that. So after Lithium, we have Polly, which is one of my favourites. Not my actual favourite though. We'll come on to that one in a second. We have Territorial Pissings, which has divided us before. We have Drain You, Lounge Act, Stay Away, On a Plane, which is the penultimate song, my favourite, and Something in the Way, which is the last concrete track on the album. For some reason, they decided to leave a massive pause and include the Cricket Bat song, which Johnny referred to only a couple of seconds ago. Endless Nameless. I could talk to you really quickly why Nirvana is why this album is so good. I think one of the main reasons I think is that it brought alternative, the entire genre, into the mainstream. There were many bands at the time that were just underground, so people like Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins, Soundgarden, and they had a very grungy sound to them. They weren't really making their name because at the time there were a lot of bands like Guns N' Roses and artists like Bryan Adams, which had a more kind of glam rock side to them, and I think people preferred that. And then Nirvana came along and just smashed that completely, and then they just kind of, those previous bands became virtually unknown because people just wanted to listen to that kind of music. Nevermind is a very unrefined, unpolished and raw album. There was a lot of editing involved. I think it took about 9 months to complete fully, but the final product was left very unpristine. It kind of highlighted how imperfections and dirty tones can really improve and even give your music a lot more character, and it proves that the songwriter Cobain himself is a very flawed person, and you find it actually easy to invest in his music, I think. Basically, you don't need to be Slash to create great music. Nirvana also made a lot of their previous inspirations much more well known, so a lot of great bands from the late 80s, like Sonic Youth, Pixies. I know Johnny's a massive fan of the Pixies. And ever since Nirvana came onto the scene, those bands just went up in popularity just like that overnight. Nevermind also introduced a lot of great musical techniques that were introduced into music, like the whole quiet verse, loud chorus dynamic, which was very, very, very interesting at the time. The whole grungy American-sounding voice that became very desirable as well, and cricket bat music.
What about the vowel? Lack of vowels.
Lack of vowels has something to do with it as well. What was that? Was that a Family Guy movie?
Yeah, it's a Family Guy.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. I've already mentioned how at the time there were a lot of bands like Guns N' Roses that had a very glam rock side to them, and they kind of got kicked off their pedestal a little bit. Another interesting fact, Nirvana actually kind of indirectly revolutionised the fashion in the 90s for a brief period. People didn't really want to dress in leather anymore, and they kind of wanted cardigans, which I thought was quite funny. I've got a quote
there's
here.
something wrong with cardigans even.
Nothing wrong with cardigans, I've got nothing against them. In fact, I've got a quote here. Vogue said that Cobain was one of the most influential style icons of their time, and with that kind of thrift store look that became pretty essential everywhere today. And I think last point I'm going to make, probably the most important point of the band, is that they actually became such large influence for modern rock. There are interviews by Radiohead, Arcade Fire, and Wolf Alice who have all said that Nirvana was such a massive inspiration for them, and they're bands that were from different decades as well. Wolf Alice being from this decade here, which just shows you the lasting impression that Nirvana have had on music. It just changed it forever.
There's another
really.
band sort of coming out at the moment called Croza Rosa, which sound an awful lot like Nirvana reborn.
Is that, you showed me a couple of their music videos? Was that the one where one of them is they're in like a ball pit? And it's very, very dark.
Yeah.
I really like that. What was that called?
That one's Simpa Smiler, I want to say.
Yeah. I think that sounds familiar. So yeah. Anyway, that's why I think the album's fantastic. We can look at each song individually. If you want, we can. How do you guys want to play? Do you guys want to just talk about each song individually, or just talk about the ones that we like? I know because we're doing two albums, we want to not keep it as long.
It's. I know you've picked it. It's obviously one of your favourite albums. So I think you should take the lead. You talk about whatever songs you want to talk about.
Okay.
Some of them aren't worth talking about.
All right. Yeah. I guess I think maybe we can talk individually in depth about the first half of the album, and the second half will become probably a bit more brief. We can start off with Smells Like Teen Spirit, which I think is a fantastic song.
I think it's a song that's so good it scared us all off picking it.
Yeah.
No one wanted to be the guy that picked Smells Like Teen Spirit as their favourite.
I know. I was so sure one of you was going to pick it. I was very surprised that no one came out. Actually, kind of very interesting.
Maybe it's because it's just complete nonsense.
Yeah. I guess so.
I mean, it's complete nonsense, but it captured a generation's attention.
Yeah.
It's pretty much single-handedly the reason Nirvana is as popular as they are today.
Oh yeah, easily. There's, I think, they had a lot of things going for them, but this song is easily the most important song for them, like without a doubt. Come As You Are, Lithium, Heart-Shaped Box doesn't even come even close to the kind of, I guess the popularity that Smells Like Teen Spirit had.
The cultural shockwave.
Yeah.
Assimilated and still is fucking going today.
I've had so many what's the word I'm looking for, interpretation of the song as well, because, and it's the same with a lot of these songs. I had, because I have my own idea of what he's singing about in each song, but I had a look online to see what other people thought, and maybe to see if I kind of see where they're coming from. And there are so many ideas for what he was singing about. It's crazy, especially with songs like Teen Spirit. It's a song that people really want to analyse a lot in depth. And I've heard things from heroin addictions, which was quite a popular theme in a lot of his songs. He's sung about love. He's sung about dysfunctional family relationships a lot as well. And I think it's just complete nonsense, to be honest. I think a lot of his songs have meaning, but this one had, because Smells Like Teen Spirit's title actually came from, I think I've told you guys this story. His girlfriend at the time, I can't remember her name. They went around basically graffitiing a lot of places, and inside of Kurt's apartment she spray painted Kurt Smells of Teen Spirit, and Cobain thought that was a fantastic idea for a song name, and didn't actually realise later on that it was the name of a deodorant, Teen Spirit, at the time. And I went to the Vinyl Frontier, which is something that Jeff Lloyd does in the area, and he actually brought in a bottle of Teen Spirit and made us all smell it. It was the funniest thing, because I think it's a girl's deodorant as well, which is quite good. But yeah, anyway, so Smells Like Teen Spirit, great song, listen to it if you already haven't, which I'm sure you have. We go on to In Bloom if you want, which I think is another, it's a great one to go over, to come after as well. I think it's probably the one that I do the most in my band as well by this band because it's just so fun to play. The solo's brilliant, the chorus is fantastic. I mean, what do you guys think? Should we pause it and listen to it real quick?
Yeah.
Alright, Harry, would you like to talk to us about your favourite song on the album?
Yeah, Come As You Are, which we're going to actually listen to now. It's not going to be Ethan's autistic screech. Okay, so that was Come As You Are. So, I don't know. I think you should probably start us off, Ethan, because you're the one with all the contextual knowledge of all these songs.
Well, I don't know very much about Come As You Are. I could talk to you about the music video, because I really like the music video, but I know you're not really.
I don't want to hear about the music video. I know this was one of your favourite songs.
Yeah, so. Well, Come As You Are is my favourite. I think the thing I like about it the most is the chorus effects that Cobain puts on his guitar for pretty much the entire song. In fact, and I think it's just a great texture to his music. The one for the song I think is the solo. I like it at the beginning, but it's one of his longest solos I think of his entire career, and it's the fact that it's very very samey, and he doesn't do anything new with it, and it literally just is very very repetitive. And it's just the same three notes. And I know
like really repetitive music. Though.
Yeah, I know you do. You're kind of like a main menu music kind of guy.
I am. I'm a background.
That's
music.
why you like Waiting for the Night so much.
It is, but what isn't background music is the opening riff of the song, which isn't original, but it is definitely the best rendition of it because it's so clean and it's
80s by Killing Joke.
It's not as good.
It's not even the original rendition of this song as well. There's been 3 versions of this song. There's one before Killing in the Name. Not Killing in the Name. Killing Joke. Sorry. I should have found out who that was. There's basically that riff. There's an even slower version of it than the one Come As You Are. From I think it's even older than the 80s. I think it came out in the 70s by just a band I can't remember what they're called.
Was the song called 70s?
No, it was called So Psycho Sexy, I think.
Oh, okay. But
we'll come on to that later.
Yeah, like that. Just the opening 5 seconds is so good, and that sound sort of like carries throughout the song. I think, I don't really particularly know what the lyrics are about. I haven't heard it enough to really like get them yet.
You know, come as you are, as you were, as I want you to be.
Exactly. It's catchy though, and I think it's good. And I can't critically evaluate music in the way that probably most of you guys can. Maybe all 3, maybe 2.
I don't think I can.
But
either that well.
I just really like. I just really like the song. Wow. That's all I've got to say. And I was hooked from the opening second till the closing second, and I think the solo doesn't particularly hinder it. I think it's a good break. Actually, you know, I don't know. I guess I come to music with looking for different things than you. So a long repetitive solo doesn't bother me.
Sure. Will you edit this out of the podcast?
No.
You fucking better, Harry. I'm fucking joking. If I listen to this on YouTube and that part is still in there.
Oh man.
Alright, so
I'm gonna really badly edit that so you guys can get a glimpse of what happened.
I mean, really badly editing it is better than no editing, which is what happened with 2008.
Oh God.
So in answer to your question, Ethan, it's got such a great effect on the guitar, and Kurt Cobain's singing sort of really complements the overall sound. It just is a well blended piece of music that really works together all the way through.
What are you talking about now? The solo?
No, just the song in general. Song in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question you just asked like 10 seconds ago, Ethan.
Oh right, that question. Yeah.
Before
I
the event.
I can't particularly remember the solo.
I guess that's probably the problem with it.
Yeah.
It's not very memorable.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very long. He just doesn't really do anything with it.
Do you know what is memorable though? The opening of Breed. Which is the 4th track on the album and Tony's favourite.
Yeah. Breed it's because it's the one that honestly stood out to me the most when I was listening through and trying to pick out the favourite. It's the best song that starts with a drum roll, because the other one is absolutely terrible. It's the one where I really like the texture of the voice he uses in the sort of setup. like in the sort of midsection of the song, and it's got a good like back and forth to it as he like says the chorus, you know, in like sort of an alternating tone. And I really like the main guitar bit and the drums that start off the song. I think it's really good.
My favourite thing about Breed is the solo in it, because I think it's just so I don't give a fuck kind of solo. It's like, he plays a sort of chord and he just completely thrashes and what's the word I'm looking for? He basically shreds the entire chord so much, and there's this kind of like a stereo effect where it moves from one earphone to the next, and I think that's a really, really cool, and it just kind of blends across like that. And I think that's what makes that one so memorable, and it's just so kind of non-melodic as well. It really is just very grungy and alternative-y and nothing too fancy. I really like it. Should we move on to Lithium?
Candles in our days, 'cause I found God.
That was Johnny's favourite, I think.
Yeah. So after a fast, in-your-face song, what you really want is just to sit down, have a few notes on the guitar, have a bit of weird lyrics that make you think and like weirdly resonate with you, because that's what Nirvana does so well. That's why I think Lithium is probably Nirvana's best song. It's just I don't know. It's calming and reflective, and it's where his voice works the sort of best, I feel. I sort of don't like it so much when it gets a bit more yelly and screechy. I mean, it works and is good, but I prefer it when it's in these sort of softer moments.
To be honest, if you took exactly what you said and applied it to something in the way, I'd entirely agree with you. But I don't know if I like Lithium as much as you guys seem to.
Yeah. I think Something in the Way works best because of the fact there isn't any like shouty, screechy second, and it really is just a very acoustic song, very simple, pretty much just two chords, and it's a good way to end the album.
Because Lithium's following like 4 absolutely incredible songs.
Yeah.
Like I think if it had been towards the end of the album, I'd look upon it more fondly, but I'm not too sure.
I think Lithium's pretty incredible. I used to think that the song, when I listened to it, I thought that he was singing about because he had some sort of mental health disorder, and lithium is the drug that was prescribed to him to help him with that illness. And from how I read it and listened to it, it always to me sounded like he was singing about that and how it made him feel. But I've since did an interview where he talks about what's the word I'm looking for? The inspiration for the song, and it was a story about a man, I think he said, whose wife left him. He turns to religion as a way of keeping himself from committing suicide. And having heard that, I think that makes a bit more sense, because there's a lot of quotes in there about about religion, about God, and God, I can't remember any off the top of my head. It's hard to kind of remember lyrics very quickly like that without having the song in front of you, but you definitely get that feeling, I think, from listening to it. We can move on. I'd like to say something about Polly really quickly. Mm-hmm. Again, Polly, the bassist Chris Novoselic said in an interview that Polly was about a newspaper article that Cobain had read, and it was about a girl who went to go see a punk rock concert in the area. And afterwards, she got abducted, and it said in the newspaper article that she was also raped. And in the song, I think Cobain takes the perspective of the person who abducted her, which is a very, very strange thing to do. And I think it also it's good because I think it shows you a little bit about what it's like to be in the world and mind of someone who has very, very bad mental health, and someone who really is on the verge of just going completely crazy. There are a lot of lines in there about. I think Polly was the name of the girl who was abducted. I'm not too sure. I think there was also something. This is very weird, but I think it said in the article that he force fed her crackers as well. And that's all she would eat, and it's really quite harrowing and horrific. And I think that kind of touched Cobain in a way. And he just wanted to sing about all the negativity in the world.
Yeah, it's a very unsettling song. The sort of Polly wants a cracker, I think I should get off her first.
Yeah.
It's
That was like a parrot.
Everyone thinks that. Literally everyone thinks that.
Yeah,
and then you actually listen to the song and you're like, wait, these lyrics are really uncomfortable. They
Uh-huh.
can't be just about
I think I like this song less now.
Yeah, the song is just a great job of being awkward and uncomfortable, which means I don't like it very much.
Wait till we get to the Chili Peppers. Should we move on to the divisive one?
Yes, we can move on to Territorial Pissings. I love this song. I think...
Wait, before we start, can we just do love it, hate it? Can we just go around? So you love
yeah,
it.
sure, I love it.
Johnny?
I'm in the middle.
You, Tony?
I do not like it.
I think I think Johnny's closer to Ethan. I'm closer to Tony in the middle. I used to dislike it, but it's grown on me.
Yeah. What I like about this song is that it's a massive piss take of a lot of the other... Because at the time when the alternative side of music was starting to break out a little bit more, there were a lot of bands who were very, very, very punk, and it wasn't such a bad thing in a way. It was the fact that they really just they didn't really care about their music very much, and I think he was trying to sort of show like a satirical side of it. I mean, towards the end of the song, the lyrics start to get so repetitive. He starts to kind of it just compacts together. And he starts to scream and just bell out, "Got to find a way, a better way, a better way."
So there's a voice break.
And yeah, I know. There's also another great line in the song. It was also quite well known that Cobain was a massive feminist as well. He did go around a lot with supporting acts for female-led rock bands, and he definitely wanted women to be more present in rock music. And there's a line in the song. I've never met a wise man. If so, it's a woman, which is just the second verse of the song, and I think that kind of highlights his views on women in rock music as well, really quite nicely.
I think the problem with the song is that like satire is really hard to get right.
Yeah.
In the fact that so many people who like this song probably don't see it as a piss take.
Yeah.
The only way I think I can appreciate this song is by coming at it at that angle, which I'm not 100% sure is the case, but. I mean, you can sort of tell.
Even then, it's still like a really fun song to listen to. Even with the intro, oh god, what is it he says?
Your brother.
Come on now, everybody, smile on your brother. Everybody gets together.
Yeah. I mean,
So
it's fun. I don't know if it's a great song. It's in a great album. I don't know if it's the best song, but it's definitely like it's fun to have it in there.
Yeah.
It'd be a worse album without it.
After Territorial Pissings, we have Drain You, but Drain You's like it's not one of the most well known. I don't think any of us were particularly like astonished by it or very different. So
it's very much a midpoint of the album kind of song.
Yeah. Move on to Lounge Act. Lounge Act is another song that I really quite like. It's got a fantastic intro bass line, and that's all I can say about it. I don't think any of you have any more to say about Lounge Act, do you? No?
I don't think so.
Really.
We move on to Stay Away, which is probably one of the most average songs on the album.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I know you did. I like the verses more than the chorus. I think you preferred the chorus, don't you?
Yeah, I like the chorus. I like it's probably some of the best shouty music in the album.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I do quite like the chorus.
After Stay Away, we have On a Plane, which is I'm not sure why. It's my favourite song on the album, but I can't really give like a precise reason, apart from the fact that I think it just takes everything I like about the band and puts it in one song. It's got a really nice experimental intro. It's got a fantastic chorus, and in the chorus, Dave Grohl comes in with these really, really nice harmonies. He's kind of woo, with him saying, "I'm on a plane." I just think it's fantastic. I love the verse. I love the breakdown. I think it gets your blood moving a lot. It's very, very fast paced, and it kind of gets you up and dancing. I think, which I really like about it.
Start this song without any words. I got so high, scratched till I bled. Love myself better than you. Know it's wrong, but you.
And then we have the final track on the album, Something in the Way. I think is one that we can also talk about.
Yeah, because I think I probably. On another day, I could have picked this as my favourite.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's like I think in some of the other music you lose Cobain as a vocalist a bit, and when you hear this, you think actually like he could definitely make it in a different line of music.
Yeah.
Like
He's very dynamic, isn't he? Very versatile. He does have.
But he doesn't really show that versatility.
I know. People just think of him as someone who can shout very, very loudly, and there is so much more there, and it kind of annoys me that when people say that. What do you guys think of Something in the Way?
Just didn't really stand out to me, I don't think. I think it didn't do enough. I can't particularly remember.
I've got it stuck in my head now, so.
Yeah. Okay, well,
that's not the end of the album.
I was hoping someone, no, in fact, all of you would forget, and we could just move on to the other album.
We all have a really long pause.
In a really confusing way of modern technology, Endless Nameless, Something in the Way appears as a 20-minute song, which really confused me, because after Something in the Way, there are 10 minutes of pure silence, which is a really clever way of doing a bonus track. Back in the day, it doesn't work now.
When it was on record.
Yeah. But and then there is the remarkable song, and I think it's truly something special. Endless Nameless.
It's something special, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yes.
It's not even music. It's not even art. I think this is Cobain just taking his experimentalism just to the extreme. It doesn't work out at all.
I think it's definitely the height of bonus track. Like, it's not part of the album.
No, it's
If
not.
it was part of the album, it would take it down a point.
Yeah, it
But
definitely would.
To be honest, when I first listened to it, I thought Ethan's going to try and defend this somehow. I was like, I'm not listening to this shit anymore. I've actually heard the whole song twice.
You'll probably defend it more than I will, because you've actually listened to it all. I can't survive 2 minutes.
I think Johnny likes 10 seconds of it.
Yeah, there's 10 to 15 seconds of it where you're just like, this is. I'd potentially rate this above a lot of what was on the rest of the album. Then it just goes back to the noises the rest is. And you're like, that was just that one little moment there.
I think there's a good 1 minute. Their Red Hot style final song in Endless Nameless.
It's the reason we call it cricket bat music is I'm not sure if this is how they composed the music in the actual studio recording, but whenever they played this live, it literally was them playing cricket ball. Not cricket ball, fucking hell. They were playing cricket on stage, and it was just Cobain smacking his guitar around as if it was some sort of rounders bat. And whatever music that created, that's what they stuck with, and I can definitely imagine that being what they did on the actual album as well. So much.
Alright, so Ethan, I think you should summarise your thoughts and pop a number on it, as we all know. That's the reason people come to this one.
Yeah,
Two people come because they want to see the scores. Come on, Ethan.
So this is probably my favourite album from the entire decade.
9. That would be Johnny. It's my favourite thing of all time. 6.
I've already told you a lot of the reasons why I like it. I think I like the influence that it had afterwards. You can definitely hear so much of their music transferred to a lot of other of my favourite bands. I like the fact that there are a lot of bands that I probably wouldn't have ever heard of without them, because they just wouldn't be around. Soundgarden have been around since I think 1984 or 1986, and their first massively commercial album came out in 1993, which was Bad Motorfinger, and that was a year after 2 years after Nevermind, and it wasn't like anything spectacular or better than anything they had worked on before. It's just because the fact that they came out afterwards and people realised that they actually wanted this kind of music in their life, and it just spoke to them in that way. So yeah, I love this album. I think I have to give it a 7 though. It's a 10 from me.
Okay, who wants to go next?
Do you want to go next?
I'll go. I don't think Nirvana's the sort of music I'd normally listen to, so when I enjoyed the album as much as I did, I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, unlike the Violator, I think I'll definitely revisit the whole of the album again.
Good, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah, there's a few tracks, especially the first 4 and probably 10, 11, and 12. Are definitely better than the sort of the midpoint of the album, and I think it surpassed all expectations, which is surprising because it's one of the most highly rated albums of all time. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Nice.
I think I'll go next so we can hopefully end on a high note, because although there were the few songs that stuck out to me, to be honest, I don't really think this is my texture of music, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, it really just does come down to personal taste, that I am really arbitrary when it comes down to some type of shouty music I will like because I can hear the vocals and they sound clear to me, and sometimes they just sound a bit too gritty and I don't really connect with it. But I can accept the fact that it was incredibly influential for what it was, and there are tracks on it that I do really like, so I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10.
Okay, cool. Get out of my house.
Fuck off. It's no crush for
Well, what you should do is once you said that, you should have fuck off. Just what I said to Claire before.
What do you fucking want? What do you fucking want?
Do you like Violator more then, do you think?
The one that I gave an 8 out of 10 to. I do like more than the one that I gave a 7 out of 10 to.
Knowles, what did you think of Nirvana's Nevermind?
Yeah, so Nirvana is music that I used to listen to quite a bit, but I don't want to say I've grown out of it. I've sort of moved on from it, I feel. So looking back, I don't enjoy it as much as I used to do. So this is a good album, but it's not one that doesn't. It's not an album that really speaks to me particularly. So I'm having difficulty scoring it. Really, I don't particularly know where to place it.
Whatever you're going to score it, the Johnny thing to do is just -2 from it, and that will be your thing.
I think I'm going to go for an 8 out of 10.
I can take that. I can take that. That's all right. That's all right.
He's grown out of it. It no longer smells like Teen Spirit.
No, I guess not.
Ethan.
Guess not.
Right.
Smells like Teen Spirit.
Now,
All right, let's move on to the second album. We won't spend as long
this is
on
like
this one.
this is like twice as long as the last fucking
Yeah,
music makes me.
it is. It is. It really
Wow.
is. So,
That's wild.
Johnny, I was going to ask you something real quick. So before we say what album this is and what band it is, or I think we probably mentioned it before. What album number do you think this is for the band chronologically?
I think this is their first.
This is their 5th album.
Oh, I was so close.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Before I listened to this, I thought this was their debut album because
It's
I
their first on
can't believe they're
Spotify.
making any 80s music, but they've released like 4 albums before this, and I just think I just couldn't believe it when I found out.
See, because to me this makes more sense as a debut album, and then it's
Yeah.
later that they
I know.
refine it a bit more. From my point of view, which it's not to say that not necessarily the right one, but
You're right. I think it feels like a debut album as well. I mean, they've especially evolved like a long way since then. Like music, when we do Californication '99, the music on that is so much more different. It's a lot more mellow, a lot more laid back, and a lot more chilled out, which is really nice. This one's a lot more funky and groovy.
It doesn't sound like a '90s album.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I agree with you on that one. So, the album came out.
we haven't said who it is yet.
No, we haven't. But that's only because we're not going to say who it is yet because I've got a really cool reveal that's going to happen later on. Just wait. So,
They're red hot.
this is. Fuck's sake, Aaron. So this is the album before Mother's Milk in 1989 and before the bit more disappointing One Hot Minute in 95. Blood Sugar Sex Magik. So, a funny thing is, really quickly, this album was released on September the 24th, and that was the same day that Nevermind was released. The exact same day.
You go into the record shop. Which one are you going to buy?
I know,
Obviously,
I
Nevermind.
know. Fair enough. I think I couldn't believe that when I found out as well. So, the band consists of Anthony Kiedis on vocals, John Frusciante on guitar, just Flea, on bass, and Chad Smith on drums.
Fleeness I've been.
Yeah. This was the first album that Frusciante did the guitar work for because their previous guitarist, Hillel Slovak, died from a heroin addiction. Happy note, right?
A lot of heroin taking.
Yeah,
I know.
It seems to me that being a rock star might be a sort of self-destructive lifestyle. I think I've kind of picked up on that now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. Their first album came out in 1984. They're self-titled, and they've released 10 more since then, including The Getaway, their most recent one, which came out just last year, 2006. 2 years ago, in 2016. Can't do basic maths. And it just shows how impressive and lasting their music has been over a massive period of time. The band are from Los Angeles, California, and their primary genres of music are alternative funk and psychedelic rock, and that can definitely be said for Blood Sugar Sex Magik. So we can go through the track listing, which starts off with The Power of Equality, which is the first track. If You Have to Ask, number 2. Breaking the Girl, 3. Funky Monks, 4. Suck
You've
My
missed
Kiss,
one.
5. No, I haven't.
Yeah, you have. You've
No, I
missed. If you have to ask.
I said
No,
that.
he said if you have to ask.
I
too.
definitely said
I
that.
do
You
not
have
hear
And
to
I got
ask.
confused because I
2.
thought he was going to go, yeah, if you have to ask, it's there. But no, that's,
Oh, okay.
that's the second song.
I genuinely thought you went. If you have to ask. But yeah, that's number.
No, yeah, that's number 2. Yeah, Suck My Kiss, number 5. I Could Have Lied, 6. Mellow Ship Slinky in B major. Strange title, but whatever, we'll go with it. Number 7. The Righteous and the Wicked, number 8. Number 9, Give It Away. Then Blood Sugar Sex Magik. And then Under the Bridge. I like to think of that as the album. That's the package. But there's 6 more songs, and I will name them in a second. But they're just, I know you guys think differently to me on this because I don't think you like this album nearly as much as I do. But I think the first 11 are fantastic, and the rest of them are kind of just, it's just a bit of a kind of not a foul aftertaste, but it just didn't have the same effect on me as the previous 11 did. And these are Naked in the Rain, Apache Rose Peacock, the greeting song, My Lovely Man, So Psycho Sexy, which is 8 minutes long, and they're red hot. They are, in fact, the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh, I like how I spoiled that earlier.
Yeah, I know. I fucking hate it.
Get off Ethan's house.
Yeah, I know.
You
So,
could have lied about saying, if you have to ask, to be honest.
yeah.
The reason I
Just
the
give
only
it
reason
away,
I
you
said
know.
that was because you were doing the numbers wrong, which is why you went number 8, number 9. Because you did have the listing wrong.
Yeah. I suppose it up a little bit. Right,
We all make
okay.
mistakes.
So, to keep this one a little bit more concise, we'll go through them really quickly. Power of Quality, I think, is a fantastic song to kick off with. It's got a fantastic groove, just sets up the rest of the album really nicely and what you're in for. If You Have to Ask has a fantastic, seamless transition from the previous song, and I think it's also very good as well. Breaking the Girl. Is that someone's
That's
favourite
my
song?
favourite one.
Yes,
So we're
talk to us
actually going to
about
listen to
Breaking
it
the Girl.
before we do that.
Yeah, we can. Here's Breaking the Girl.
In the girl. Right.
Yeah, man,
not how it goes.
I really like this song. I think I really like the sound of this album. It's got that again like psychedelic rock sound, like you said. But I think this one stands out because it's the one that is the sort of the resting point for it. It's the one that takes it a bit slower, and I really like the main chorus, the main rhythm of it, and it's just incredibly. I think it's probably one of the best songs I've listened to of this double bill for both albums.
Yeah.
And I like the sound of it a lot more, a lot calmer. You know, probably I guess like you said, more like their later work.
Yes. If you like this one, then you will definitely like the later work, because it is definitely on this sort of kind of genre and wavelength. And it's similarly to I was going to make a nice transition to I Could Have Lied, which is the other fantastic acoustic song on this album, but before that we have Funky Monks,
Yes.
which Harry just picked because
Nah, I like Funky Monks. It's obviously not my favourite song, but I wasn't allowed my favourite song because of fucking bureaucracy. So, also the Power of Quality is probably my second favourite, but I decided to go for Funky Monks because no one's going to pick Funky Monks.
yeah.
And I thought someone would get Power of Quality. I like Funky Monks because it's 5 minutes long and it does nothing and it's really repetitive, and that's the sort of music that I like.
Normally
It's-
I disagree with you, but I think Funky Monks is pretty good. I
It's
think
good because it's like 3 sort of 2-minute songs, and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of them
yeah.
are really catchy.
But the first one's by far the best, and then there's that weird pause and the kind of discordant solo that I'm not really a big fan of.
I like
Yeah?
it.
I mean,
like
it's
it.
no the righteous and the wicked
It's
level
no the righteous and the
pause.
wicked. It's no righteous. We will come on to that though, Tony. I swear we'll
I
come
like how
on to that.
Tony's pausing, but you can't tell because Ethan's speaking, so there's no dead air. Alright, okay,
Visual
let's
comedy.
listen to the pause from the righteous and the wicked now.
The righteous and
I was gonna just see who was gonna like play that out
first.
When I edit this, I'm gonna accidentally think that I'm supposed to insert something in there.
One more thing before we go on to that really quickly. I want to stress that Funky Monks, I think, has one of the greatest guitar riffs in it, especially for the first 2 minutes of it. And I think it shows the technique that Frusciante has for a lot of their albums, and it's very finger style, and it works so well with kind of Flea slap bass technique. And I think they just go hand in hand really nicely, and you could definitely hear that on Funky Monks.
One of the really good things about the Red Hot Chili Peppers is just the blend between the bass and the guitar, and then also the singing over the top, which I think is why I didn't like this album as much, because I didn't notice. I think with the more funky sound, it didn't blend
It's
as
Funky
well,
Monks.
the two together.
It's in the title.
Yeah, I'm not blaming it for being funky. I'm just not. I don't know. For me, when it's funkier, it doesn't work as well as when it's calmer and softer.
Yeah, because it definitely sounds like 60s, like
It's interesting.
funk.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that,
Jive.
because I think this is the album where Flea has the greatest presence. This is the one where I hear his bass the most. I think it's because in like Californication, for instance, which we will get onto at some point, his technique is a lot more kind of subtle, and it's a lot more nuanced, and you can't hear it as much because the music's a lot more calm. And I like it a lot, and I think it's very good. I just don't think I like it as much as his work on this album, but whatever. Chacun son goût. So, Mikey Marks, very good. You got Suck My Kiss, which is a song that I'm a big fan of. And
don't
I
like
think
it.
yeah, I know that you're not a fan, but I think this is like a really cool, like high distortion, high gain
You
song.
didn't pick it as your favourite, did you? So let's fucking move on.
Yeah, I don't want to be a snowflake, but it made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I felt uncomfortable listening to all 8 minutes of Sir Psycho Sexy. I'm glad I didn't have it playing out of speakers. That's all I'm saying. They earn their explicit tag.
I Could Have Lied, which is Johnny's favourite. I am right.
Again, like Breaking the Girl, it's sort of softer, but I think I like the overall sound of I Could Have Lied against Breaking the Girl. And just the lyrics as well, of the sort of it's a person looking back at sort of being too honest about their emotions with someone and just sort of go, I could have lied about that. And it's, I don't know, it's interesting. It doesn't do much and it goes on for quite long, but I think of the songs in the album, it is probably the second best next to Under the Bridge. But but we couldn't pick Under the Bridge.
For fuck's sake, you know what? You can all pick Under the Bridge. Should we just review that 4 times? Yeah, is that what you guys want to do? Review Under the Bridge 4
That's
times?
the thing, though. I don't know if Tony, would you have picked Under the Bridge over?
I think I might have picked Breaking the Girl still, to be honest. In a controversial statement. I like the song, but I don't like the choir version, the choir in the middle of it.
Oh, that's the best thing about it. It's fantastic, and then when the choir comes in, it just elevates it completely.
I think it's still a really good song.
You can't always get what you want.
Yeah, go on, Ethan. You know you want to do it.
Straight after that, we have Mellowship Slinky in B major, which is a fantastic name for a song.
Yes.
And was that your
But
pick,
it's not a good song.
Tony? Or
No,
did you
I
just
just-
want
no,
afterwards?
I had
No
Breaking
one's
the
picked.
Girl.
It was what I. So the 3 main ones I deliberated between were Breaking the Girl, I Could Have Lied, and Mellowship Slinky in B major. Just because the intro of this, especially after I Could Have Lied, is just, I don't know. It's a brilliant intro, and then it disappoints me because then we never hear that sort of riff again in the song.
It's at the end again.
Yeah, at the end. It's got the whole middle where it's like,
The whole
you can
song.
forget that was how he introduced the song. We're now going back to that funk you heard before.
It's like the Grand
Just
Budapest
slightly
Hotel.
different to the funk you
It
heard
still
before.
retains its funk. You've still got like the high end of the bass line, which is like powering through, and then you've got again like Frusciante playing high end guitar as well along with it. And it's still got the funk. It's still got the bow, 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 that kind of like really cool.
Yeah, I think the intro is exactly the sort of style of funk that I like, and then it goes into the style of funk that I don't quite so much like, which like for me the rest of the album is, which is why I can't differentiate as much between those ones like you can, because to me it's the same kind of, I don't really like this style of funk.
Yeah.
There's no
But have you heard Mellowship Slinky in B minor though? Because that's a classic.
Ooh, yeah.
So yeah, I mean this one and Tony's favourite. I'm sorry, I like them both, but they are indistinguishable. They do blur into one a little bit. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about number 8, The Righteous and the Wicked?
Well, no one has picked that one as their favourite.
Oh no,
but,
Tony, wasn't it?
I was
Oh,
going to
why
pick
do you
that
go?
one.
Tony's Breaking the
Sorry.
Girl.
I've done. I just can't remember what his
Three
favourite was.
times.
He just likes all of them so damn much.
Yeah, Ethan.
It's going to be like, so...
I'd forgive you if you were confusing it with the other great song that starts with Breaking the, as in Breaking the Habit by Linkin Park.
Can we move on from
Almost
the
as
Righteous?
good.
I don't think. Do any of us have anything to say about the Righteous and the Wicked? I think
I
it's
like
good.
this song. It's
Other
good.
than
Yeah, but
the
the pause is
pause.
really awkward though.
Yeah.
The pause always makes
I
me think of
quite-
accidentally pause the video.
No, I like pauses like that where you just sort of, the ones that sort of go, huh? And then when it comes in,
Yeah,
it's like,
Imagine being
that
a member
really
of the
does that.
Megate podcast and being like, I don't like uncomfortable pauses.
It's the fact that I fall for it every time though, and think it's like, oh, this is the one with the pause.
It's like those people who have
What's
the
this?
dickhead voice messages, like voicemails. They're like, their voicemail is them going, hello, and then just being quiet for like 30
Yeah, I know.
seconds.
So, there's so many people that I know
Sorry.
about that. It's really
I'm
annoying.
not actually on the
I
phone.
need to get like the Archer ones from
Oh
Archer.
yes, that was like one of the really best. That was just one of the best things in Archer, and everyone just
Okay.
fell for it every time.
We're reviewing Archer.
Can we just
now.
stop talking about Blood Sugar Sex Magic and just review Archer now?
No.
This is
Come on,
Johnny's
we've
TV roundup.
We've already finished most of the good ones, so let's just quickly move on to Give It Away.
It's not even true because the best 3 songs on the album
Yeah.
are like sequentially after the Righteous.
We'll do
and the
them,
Wicked.
and then we're not going to. We'll very quickly do 12 to 17.
Yeah. So Give It Away, which I think is the second best song on the album. I think this one is really good. My favourite part of the song is the solo where there's the rhythm guitar, but the lead guitar, Frusciante does an overdub, and it's got a reverse guitar kind of effect, and I just think it just heightens the
It's much
psychedelic
better than
sound
the
of the
sub.
album. It's much better than the what?
It's much better than the sub, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, what do you guys think of Give It Away? Did it sound like anything special, or?
I know I'd love this song if
You're
I
gonna
hadn't
talk about
heard
that, aren't you?
Fever at the Flavour by Hot Action Cop for the 2003 absolute banger, which is like a piss take of this style of music.
I love how we're going to be like doing similar things. It's like, I'd probably like this if I hadn't heard Gay Bar by Electric Six, because it just makes me want to listen to Gay Bar instead of this song. It's got a similar sort of repetitive thing about something in you. I was like, oh, it's like Gay Bar.
Yeah.
I
like
prefer
Give It Away.
Gay Bar.
I think it is almost unsettlingly fast though.
Oh yes.
How he manages to put all those consonants in such a small amount of time.
Yeah, I think this is the one where he's rapping with the fastest pace out of every song on the album, and I think I can say that. We're going on to the last two that we'll probably look at properly.
No, we're doing an 8-minute analysis on Psycho Sex.
Really? Are we gonna do a?
We're going to do a minute by minute
minute by
analysis.
minute.
Yes,
Yeah.
every fucking minute of that song I had to listen to.
So it's like
So Blood Sugar Sex Magik is another great song on the album. My one criticism for it is the fact that there are two solos that are completely indistinguishable, and you just didn't need one of them to happen, and they're both towards the end, and they are both actually just exactly the same, and that means that the chorus has to be there about 3 or 4 times, and it just gets very repetitive and samey. And you weren't a big fan of this one. What didn't you like about it?
I can't quite. I think a lot of my problems with these songs was I didn't like the chorus of it. It just sounded naff and not. I don't know. So I think with a lot of the songs, it started off, I go, ooh, I like this intro, it sounds nice. And then I'd sort of go, oh, it's not really done anything else, or it's now moved into something I don't like, or there was usually always something with the song that made me go, oh no, I don't like this bit. And that sort of, I don't know, made it difficult to like a lot of the songs. And I can't remember exactly now off the top of my head, but there was definitely something in this song that made me go, oh no, I don't like this bit. And it was probably the chorus.
Yeah.
It's the title of the album. It's not like the best song on the album. What's that all about?
I don't know.
This album should have been called.
Is Nevermind the best song on Nevermind? It's not
Isn't
even a
even the
song.
song.
Exactly. That's how bad it is. They didn't put it on the album,
Yeah, it's just-
Harry.
They say the word Nevermind in Smells Like Teen Spirit though, so.
What I like with the album for
That's very
Blood
true.
Sugar Sex Magik is because they're called Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is the same
Well, they're
number
red hot,
of
aren't
words.
they?
Yeah. It ends up you look at the album, it's just like red blood, hot. What was it? Like
Oh
red
yes, no,
blood,
you're
hot
absolutely
sugar.
right. Yeah. No, I have seen
Yeah.
that. It's like a nice anagram. Not anagram. It's like a what's that poem where you have
What?
just a word and then you've got something for each letter.
What is
begins
that?
with
It's
it.
like a horizontal something. I don't know.
But that's what you mean, isn't it,
Yeah.
Johnny?
It's not really. It's just that it's got the first name of their band and then the first word of their band and then the first word of the album title.
Yeah, but then they cross
And then
over,
it's-
don't they?
They don't cross over. They're just at the edges, moving round in a circle, because the album is like Velociraptor.
A terminal velociraptor.
Yes.
What I was trying to say though, and my link was ruined, is they should have named it after the best song, which is Under the Bridge,
Yeah, Under the Bridge is so good.
which is the final track on the
I
album
can't
in an
even-
ideal world.
in an ideal world.
Although I quite like Naked in the Rain.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was all these 11 songs Under the Bridge and then They're Red Hot and that was the album, because They're Red Hot is like the
No,
best
I
thing.
like Naked in the Rain.
Yeah, I like Naked in the Rain.
See, Naked in the
I
Rain's
like
good.
a lot of the songs that come after Under the Bridge.
I think my favourite though, mate.
No,
Don't you please pick.
Should we listen to this one?
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
didn't even know we were allowed to pick ones.
Under the Bridge.
Is this
I
the
don't
Righteous
have-
and the Wicked?
That joke won't make sense.
There
Fuck
are
it.
enough things. There are enough things that I can say about the song. I love everything about it. I love the intro. I love the verses. I love the chorus so much. But to me, the best part of the song is after the second chorus, when there's that fantastic build-up, And he puts actually I think it's before where he puts a chorus effect on his guitar, but at that point you could definitely hear it very, very clearly. And the choir comes in, it sounds almost orchestral and operatic, and I just love that so much. I think it just gives it energy.
I do like the song.
I don't hate it.
I think it might sound.
I think it's
a
the
bit
best
too
thing
much.
about the song at all.
So what do you think is then?
The whole song.
It's quiet and relaxed with a good riff, and I don't know, good singing over it. Is kind of, I don't know how to describe the sort of singing style, but I don't know, it's slowing and makes you think.
Yeah, for sure. So
the first, I don't know. I think the first verse is probably the best bit of the song. You just heard it there. I mean, it's brilliant.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Wow.
So after Under the Bridge, which is literally the ultimate climax of the album, and it just should have ended there. But you got a couple of other songs that are still good. Naked in the Rain's probably the best of the last tracks.
Yeah, that should have been the last track of the album.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No. You know what they should have done? They should have taken Naked in the Rain and put it before Under the Bridge at some point.
Yeah.
And then still had Under the Bridge as the last
And then
track.
have and then have
their
their Red Hot after a 10-minute bit of silence.
Yeah, that'd have been good. That'd have been good. So
and
we
actually
have
only have their Red Hot bit like just sandwich in between, just a load of them playing golf.
So Naked in the Rain with Apache Rose Peacock, which has some of the most inventive lyrics I think I've ever heard.
I love Apache Rose.
It's like listening to like a 60-year-old like woman try and rap. It's like she's just thinking of any words that rhyme with anything. It's dreadful. It's really dreadful.
It's reminiscent of Rocky Raccoon by the Beatles, but Rocky Raccoon by the Beatles is actually good.
Ethan, do you like Apache Rose Peacock?
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
I'm glad.
I do. The greeting song is good. Also, I mean, at this point, do you guys know any? Not know, but do you have anything else to say about any of these songs?
You know which one.
I like the
Oh,
Apache
here
Rose
it
Peacock
comes.
is sort of like, I feel like a lot of the other fucking songs in the beginning, they like used like a sort of fake out. They were gonna say like something, but then they like suck my kiss, you know. But that's obviously whatever, you know, innuendos. But then this one is like,
Your mouth was made to suck my kiss.
Cock, Willy. I'm like, this, I respect that.
I respect
on some level.
the explicit lyrics of Sir Psycho Sexy.
Oh man, so it's like
which
so
is,
for Nevermind we had a bonus track. In this one we have a boner track.
It's like you start listening to an erotic audiobook in the middle of a song. It's not a song. I don't even know what it is.
I know. It's great how for the first 11 tracks they have some really well worked in kind of innuendos and subtleties, and then on the last 6, right,
Yes.
on the last 6 they just go all out and as Harry said, just mention the first words that come into their head, and it just really is just bonkers.
Fucking sexually assault a police officer. Right. So when I was reviewing Nevermind, Endless Nameless I didn't count as part of the album.
Yeah, neither do I.
I'm counting Sir Psycho Sexy as part of this album.
Well, it is because
Exactly.
Red Hot is not the bonus track, but it's still part of the album, and everything that came before that is definitely part of the album.
Yeah,
so.
I know, but so I wish I could review the first 11, but it doesn't work that way.
No, unfortunately not.
What would you give
could
the
just
album?
stop
Ethan?
listening.
And what do you think overall?
So there are a lot of things I love about this album. I think each each member of the band plays a really, really integral part of their music. I think Kiedis has excellent vocals, and the thing about them is they're immediately recognisable. Like you might hear a Red Hot Chili Peppers song, and the fact they've had so many over the all the years they've been around for, you can listen to a random song, it could be virtually unknown, and you might not be able to know who it is. But when he starts singing, you're like, that's it, that's the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because he's such a unique voice. I think they have a really strong funky groove that stands out a lot all the way throughout their entire album, and I think it was also a nice change from the grunge scene that was captivating the world at the time. There, as we've already mentioned,
On the same day.
Yeah, on the same day. In fact, but I think before I give my number, I think by far my favourite thing about this band is Flea, without a doubt. I think 99% of bands in the world, the most famous part of the band that's not the singer is the guitarist, and there are a couple of bands out there whose who the bassist is probably more well known than the guitarist, and this is definitely one of them, and there are reasons for that. He's probably the most innovative bassist working today, and his presence is so it's just so there. I mean, a lot of bassists in music kind of work to support the guitar and the drums, which are around there as well, and they're kind of just background. But he creates a groove out of his own, out of the song, and I think it's just fantastic. And it just it just makes his role really understated. It's impossible to ignore. That's it. So I'm going to give this album a 9 out of 10.
Okay. I think Tony should go next.
Yeah, because again, I really like the groove of this song, and I think it's the song overall. You listen to it at one sitting. Album.
Sure.
Because I like the latter 2/3. I want to say fractions. However, after Under the Bridge works out, I think
6/8.
6/8.
Got that before.
I think it really works out as just a really jovial and really like a lot of energy in this song that I really appreciate, and especially coming off of Nevermind, where I was like, the texture's kind of grating on me a bit. To hear this song where there's so much like upliftingness in like the texture of the song and how funky it is. Now.
Yeah,
Cool. I think
off the top of my head, there's not a single album apart from this one that really just gets me wanting to move around. I don't. It's completely subconscious, the things that I do when I'm listening to music off of this. I'm tapping my fingers, tapping my foot. Before I know it, I'm actually standing up and dancing to the music.
That's a box quote and a half.
Yeah,
this album didn't do that for me. For me, it's The Strokes, Is This It? That gets me dancing, as does basically anything by The Strokes get me dancing, but not this.
Well, if we ever do a Music Mix 2000s, we'll definitely do Is This It, like for sure, and probably Room on. Is it Room on Fire?
Yeah, so
yeah, that's a really great album as well.
So I really like how the album has its overall like really unique song, overall unique texture to it, and again like that funkiness. But I feel that each song sort of takes it in a new way. There are some songs that really spice it up a bit. It was hard to pick a favourite because I like so many of them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to agree with Ethan and give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh yes, find me right there, man.
Shake your hand.
Shake your hand. I like it.
So with me, I've listened more to the Red Hot Chili Peppers' later stuff. They're sort of what I'd consider their middling albums, and if they've produced 4 before this one, it's not really their middle albums, it's much later on. But I don't know, it didn't deliver the sound that I was expecting from the Red Holly Chili Peppers.
So the Red Holy Chili Peppers.
That's what they're called.
They're red hot.
Yeah, it didn't deliver the sound I was expecting, and wasn't as good as I was expecting, and I didn't feel there are as many songs that stood out to me as there are in their albums I've listened to more, such as By the Way and Californication, and Stadium Arcadium.
Yeah.
So
be careful, there's a friendship at stake here.
Right, I'm gonna. What did I give? So Violator got a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. You liked it more, surely.
Yes. So I guess that means it's a 7 out of 10.
Cool.
I don't know. I don't know what I was. I think I was expecting something different from what the album gave me. It's a lot funkier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the things that I like about it. I think because before I listened to this, I know I'm stepping on your toes here. Sorry about that. But before this, I knew all of their hits, like Californication. I did know Under the Bridge, obviously. I knew Can't Stop. And Can't Stop is quite energetic, but things like Californication and as you mentioned the other day, Other Side and Scar Tissue, which are really, really great songs, have a very, very slow, mellow feel to them. And this album just took me away. I just didn't expect it at all, and I was kind of taken back by it. I liked it, but you were saying, right?
Yeah, it's very funky. Maybe a little bit too funky at times. I mean, like I know the song that had me like sort of nodding my head along was Funky Monks.
Yeah,
which I think fully embraces that style of music they're touching upon. I don't know. I think it is too long. It's far too long. I think it definitely the second half after Under the Bridge, as we've said, it's not as good.
Yes.
I think a few of the earlier tracks blend into one. You could sort of break it down into like rock song, funky song, sexy song, and then like sexy rock song, sexy funky song, funky rock song. Essentially, you can. I think it's. I don't know if I prefer it to Violator. I don't think I do. So I think I'm also going to give it a 7.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Should we listen to this while we're at Funky Wood?
Oh, yes. Funky Monks at Funky Wood. That sounds like a plan. I'm happy with that.
That's my funky in this
This-
podcast.
This episode was sponsored by Funky Wood.
Use
Well-
the code Chong Session. Get 10%.
Guys, am I actually going to put a 10-minute bit of silence at the end of the podcast?
And then
Follow
play
Joy.
one.
No,
No,
Followed
because
by,
they're all
uh,
just going to be quiet, and then someone's going to say something ridiculous.
Alright, someone's going to stick their hand out to indicate us to shut up.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this podcast. See us next time in 1992. Yeah, have a good day, I guess. Give it away now.
Weep.